All right, ladies and gentlemen, this weekend coming up, my God, my goodness, it is playoff time in the NFL. Whew, such a great time of year. And let me tell you, the season is almost over. It feels like just yesterday. It feels like just yesterday. I'm telling you, man, time truly flies when you're having fun, I guess. That was corny. Like I said, it is playoff time in the NFL, and the playoff bracket has been set. Week 18 has happened. The coaches that were going to get fired have been fired. The teams that have been eliminated have been eliminated. Now it is time for the top 14 teams in the NFL to go at it. And I have the bracket right here, and I'm gonna give you my predictions. Don't hit me. Don't come at me if this ain't what you got. All right, this is what I believe is going to happen for the playoffs. Okay, we're going to start in the AFC. Okay, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs are the number 1 seed, and they get the bye, even though they have squeaked by this whole goddamn season. All right, so we have the first matchup going down, the 4th seed and the 5th seed, the Houston Texans going against the LA Chargers. And I got the LA Chargers in this one. Now, they did make a move earlier this week. They picked up Ezekiel Elliott onto their practice squad. I don't know why. I don't know why this move, but I mean, hey, power to them. But I believe they got this. The Houston Texans have not looked great these past few weeks, especially with Tank Dell going down with an injury, and they have been injury prone this whole year, with Stephon Diggs going down earlier this season. So I don't think they're going to be able to make it through. So the Houston Texans are there, but not quite yet. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Chargers in this one. Next, we have another battle between these two rivals. What can we say? Why not give us another one? The Baltimore Ravens versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I believe Baltimore is going to pull this out easily. Pittsburgh have not looked their best these past few weeks, and I mean, Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. We all know they start off great, but in the season's mediocre, and that's what's happening now. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Baltimore Ravens on this one. So the last wild card weekend AFC matchup I have is the Buffalo Bills versus the Denver Broncos. Now the Denver Broncos are in there. Bo Nix, I mean, if it wasn't for Jaden Daniels, you know, you would have been Offensive Player Rookie of the Year. I mean, he has showed out in last week. I mean, he did go against a very, very, very weak Chiefs team by sitting all their star players out, but my goodness, Bo Nix has looked extraordinary this whole season, and I would not be surprised if he keeps on looking extraordinary in the playoffs. But they are going against those Buffalo Bills, and Josh Allen has been on one. You could even say that he is having a MVP season. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Bills on this one. You did good, Bo, but you can't beat them Buffalo Bills. Now we're going to move on to the NFC side of the wild card weekend. First, we have the Los Angeles Rams versus the Minnesota Vikings. As we all know, it was a battle for first place between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings last week. The Detroit Lions came out on top, so now they are the 1st seed, which throws the Minnesota Vikings into the 5th seed, and they will be going against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this. First of all, prayers to Los Angeles for everything that's going on out there. Should have brought this up with the Chargers, but prayers to them with the wildfires that's hopefully they can get those under control. But moving on to the matchup at hand, Rams, Vikings. Even though the Vikings got beaten and battered by the Lions, I believe they come back this week. Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, Addison. I mean, there's too many weapons. Adam Jones, he got hurt kinda in the game. He went to the back and came back out. But I believe they get back on the horse and they get a win in this one. Next matchup we have is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington Commanders. Now, if you remember, these two teams, they faced off earlier on in the season. And I mean, early on, I mean, the first game of the season, it was the Buccaneers versus the Washington Commanders. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they came out on top. Now, as a Washington Commanders fan and a person that watches the Washington Commanders, you have seen this team progressively get better as the season goes on. The first game, Jaden said that was his only game that he was nervous this season. And we had a lot of changes going into the season. Coaches, front office, a lot of veteran players. This team just had to get a few weeks under their belts. Well, not even a few weeks, a week under their belts in order to get that chemistry there and start to click. And after that, I mean, the rest is history. We went 12-5, and I believe that Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders get their payback on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they get this win in Wild Card Weekend. Let's not remember what happened when they had the GOAT Tom Brady going against the man, the myth, the Washington legend in Taylor Heineke. The next game and the last game of the Wild Card Weekend for the NFC side is a bit of a tricky one for me. It is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers. I feel like this game could possibly go either way, due to the fact that there is something happening on the injury report. It is being said that Jalen Hurts is still on concussion protocol. By the time this video is out and by the time you guys are seeing this, it could be past it and he could be off it. Here's what I have to say. If Jalen Hurts plays on Sunday, I do believe the Eagles will win single-handedly. Too many weapons. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. I mean, that offensive side. Then you got Jalen Carter, freak of nature, getting on my nerves on the defensive line side, and all damn Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That team is too tough, okay? I believe that they win this single-handedly. Philly got it, because that defense and that team is just different, okay? They so different that it pisses you off sometimes, okay? Truthfully. So Philly is going to move on to the next round. Now we move on to the divisional round. We're going to go back over to the AFC side with the Los Angeles Chargers, who I believe are going to win, being the 5th seed. They are the lowest seed to move on past the wild card round. So they go against the Kansas City Chiefs, and I believe the Chiefs win that. Sorry, I love you, Coach Harbaugh, but it's the Chiefs. They're going to find some way, somehow, to win. Now we move on to the second game of the divisional round, Baltimore versus Buffalo, and I believe this will be the best game of the divisional round. This game will go down to the wire, but I believe that Baltimore, who have been clicking and just going in with a bit of enough momentum, and I believe that they're going to win single-handedly against the Pittsburgh Steelers during the wild card weekend, and I believe they're going to go in with that momentum, and they're going to beat the Buffalo Bills, and they're going to move on to the conference championship and be going against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now we move on to the NFC divisional round, and first matchup is the Detroit Lions versus the Washington Commanders. Listen, I'm telling you right now, I would love to sit up here and say that Washington is going to be able to beat them Lions, but man, there is one thing about them Lions, and it's grit. And I have said this multiple times, and people that I work with, people that I have talked to, they keep on telling me, oh, well, the Lions have too many injuries. No, you don't know the Lions like I know the Lions. This Lions team, literally, when they start to click and they start to going, they don't stop. They are a freight train. They're going to run through you. They're going to get knocked down. And like Dan Campbell said, when they get knocked down and they get back up, they're going to bite a kneecap off. Yes, they are like that, okay? They just got a player back and he had surgery, but yet he's wrapped up. They're getting Montgomery back. They're getting weapons, okay? I'm sorry, but the Detroit Lions, they're going to beat the Washington Commanders in the second round. I wish I could say that Dan Quinn would be able to beat them and we will be able to beat Ben Johnson, who did not want to come see us because he wanted to be put in a great position. This Detroit Lions team is different. It is just different. Now we move on to the second game, Philadelphia Eagles versus the Minnesota Vikings, and I got Philly. By the time that game happens, there will be no question. Jalen Hurts will be back. Simple. Philly. Okay. It just shows that I believe Minnesota is a great team. Minnesota is a great team, but that defense is going to lock them down like Detroit did last week. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's just going to happen. Now we move on to the conference championships. The AFC Conference Championship, Chiefs versus the Ravens, and then the NFC Conference Championship, the Detroit Lions versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Going to the AFC side, you have the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, Hollywood Brown. Ooh, he can get payback on the Ravens. Ooh, that's a nice little, ooh, I like that. Xavier Worthy, Chris Jones on defense. I mean, you have a team, they play, and somehow each week they squeak by. But I believe in this conference championship, that ain't gonna happen. I don't think Baltimore is going to let that happen. I believe the only people that will let that happen is the people in black and white and the zebras on the field. Yes, the referees are the only ones that are going to allow Baltimore to not beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe that's the only way, because Baltimore, I believe they're going to do everything in their power to beat them. Everything, okay? They're going to do it. You got Derrick Henry. This is his first time trying to go to a Super Bowl. Truthfully, he was with Tennessee Titans, just that whole situation, but he has Lamar Jackson. Zay Flowers, who just cut off his dreads. I don't know if that's going to help his aerodynamicness, but we'll see. Mark Andrews. You have a defense that's all right. They can. Now, Kansas City, if y'all just light them up on their secondary, the secondary isn't the best, but their offense is so dynamic. And once they start going, sometimes they can be stopped. So I think they're going to keep that momentum going. And I believe that the Baltimore Ravens will be down in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. And now we move to the NFC Conference Championship, the Detroit Lions versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I marked this game as the game to watch. Now, yes, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Baltimore Ravens, that's going to be a great game. But God darn, this Detroit Lions team, like I have said, they have grit. They don't give up. They do not lay down for anybody. And then you have a freaking Philadelphia team that just is stacked head to toe on the roster. I have named them: Saquon, Jalen, AJ, Devontae. I'm going to throw my boy Jahan Dotson, even though I know he probably won't get much PT, and then Jalen Carter in that whole defense. I mean, you have a gritty team that does not give up and does not lay down for anybody going against a stacked roster. And I'm going to go ahead and call it. I believe that Detroit will beat the Eagles. I feel it. I feel like this Detroit team, after week after week, you just see them play with their hearts. They're not playing just to be out there getting paid. They're playing with their hearts. There is something about this team you see with coaches not wanting to leave, not taking head coaching positions, just doing interviews and being like, you know what? I'm good at where I'm at. They have something that they want to get to, and that's the Super Bowl championship. And after this season, yes, I believe that the team could blow up. I believe that Aaron Glenn, he's already scheduled half of his interviews for teams. Hopefully he's not another Eric Bieniemy who is just the Rooney Rule person that they just interviewed just to say, yeah, we interviewed a black person. But Aaron Glenn, one of the best defensive coordinators this year, probably one of the coaches of the year, honestly. You seen this man last week literally tell his defense what to do, and then when the offense was out there, he was sitting on the bench chilling. I mean, if that doesn't speak aura, I don't know what does. And then you have Ben Johnson, who is a mastermind on offense. And like I have said, when this team gets clicking, sometimes they have slow starts. Like last game, it was a slow start. But when they get clicking, it is no stopping them. And I'm sorry, Philly. I'm sorry to the Philly fans, even though I don't like y'all. That's coming from a commander. That's the commander side of me, okay? I can't stand y'all. But I'm sorry. Detroit Lions, they're going to see the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl. And speaking of the Super Bowl, here we are. Baltimore Ravens versus the Detroit Lions. That is one heck of a Super Bowl, even though I don't believe that's going to happen, but you never know. You never know about the NFL. You never know what's in the script. But, okay, I'm going to go ahead and say my pick, and then I'm going to say my reason why. Actually, I've been saying my reason why this whole time. I believe that the Detroit Lions, after years of heartache, after years of being a terrible team, after year after year after year of crying, and finally, after years, getting Dan Campbell in there and getting a great GM and just building a team of gritty players and people that play with their heart and not just for the money, coaches that coach to the best of their abilities and don't care about being the coordinator and don't want to be the top guy. They just want to get the job done. This team, the Detroit Lions, get the Super Bowl win, and they show that grit and grind beats everything. I believe that. Yes, the Baltimore Ravens, they are stacked with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, who I believe he'll probably get another MVP. But it's something about Detroit. It's just something about them boys that you just can't beat. I'm telling you, the way that them boys come together, once they start clicking, it's amazing to see. And I believe the same thing is going to happen at the Super Bowl. It's going to be a tough game in the beginning. It's going to be neck to neck. But I believe coming in that third quarter, after halftime, or even going into the fourth quarter, you're going to see them boys, you're going to see them Lions come out on top. That's all I got to say. Detroit Lions will be your Super Bowl champion of the 2024-25 season.